It is resolution insurance. Health is gone. It was very difficult for us to let it go because we'd really done a lot of work in growing that brand, in that name. But we needed to drop the health for us to be able to do all the other lines of business without confusing ourselves, and also without making the name too long. General insurance covers medical as well. Just that traditionally we are structured as insurance companies to hive off medical and say medical and non-medical. Yes. But also in general, you also go to talk about motor and non-motor, because again, motor is another difficult area. So medical is difficult. We believe motor is even more difficult. And then there are the other lines that are not as difficult to engage in and have better returns. So our general insurance, we were regulated or registered as a general insurer in 2013. We transferred the book from Resolution Health to Resolution Insurance, and the book then was just medical business. And a bit of embedded products that we had put in, things like critical illness, last expense, that sort of thing, which were buying from a life company. So subsequently we started writing what you would call employee benefits. That's the WIBA, the GPAs. And at that time, the license was limited to that extent. 2016, 2016, we got our license to do other classes, motor, property, assets, insurance. So subsequently now we have a full license to do, including marine, aviation, engineering classes. Okay, so that's where we are. In terms of the book we wrote, by end of last year, just about 300 million in non-medical business. So this year, non-medical. Our medical was 3.6 billion. So about 300 was non-medical, which is the general insurance side. Okay, what we call GIB generally. We have a big target this year to meet. We want to do 3 times that. Actually, almost 4 times that. We've put in the structures necessary to do that, and we think we are having traction. We are on target to, we have good traction to get us to that number. Of course, we are concerned about motor, because motor, if you look at the loss ratios for motor and medical, they are close. Sometimes motor is higher, so we'd not like to have 2 books, significant portfolios that are that high loss making. So we are watching our motor critically to make sure it doesn't grow. We don't get in, loss-making business, but also it doesn't grow significantly. We have to grow our others as well. So we grew significantly in medical last year, but I'll talk about our total growth was 34%. The industry grew at 9%, so that means we are doing well. Our loss ratios in medical are below industry average. We're at 74. Our target is 70. We're at 74. The industry is about 75, 76, thereabout. Okay, so we believe we are doing well. We also have I believe we are the best in what we call care management. Care management is just how we manage the patient when they get, the client when they become a patient. Because to us, they are an insurance client. When they get sick, they become a patient. So there's work to do to make sure the client is comfortable, the client is treated well in hospital, the health outcomes are what the client expects. And of course, we want to save life. So we believe also that when you go to hospital, your mind, psychological well-being, your comfort levels in terms of how much peace you have when in that hospital leads towards you recovering faster and better. We are only heavily skewed towards medical because we started as a medical insurance provider. So we grew our book in medical because that's what we could do at that time. We believe we can apply the same growth tactics in general insurance, and I think we've started. So we should be able to grow our book significantly as well and balance that book out. Ultimately, our 5-year strategy is to have about 60% medical, 40% general business. We are now 92% medical. But certainly, even as we do medical, we believe that medical can be done profitably, and we are seeking ways to be able to do that. So even as you have either an 80% book, 60% book, you should be able to make profits. Other countries have done it. We should be able to do it in Kenya. Of course, certain circumstances need to change. It's not hard, but what is hard is converting that person who sold medical for you in the last 10 years, because we use agents, and most of them are tied agents. 50% of our book comes from what you consider to be tied agents, so people who exclusively sell for us on commission basis. Those people have sold medical for a long time. Secondly, they have big portfolios in medical. You know, medical is, when you look at the unit premium per sale, it's higher than other normal products. So a family is probably going to pay between 50 and 100,000 shillings per annual policy. When the same family has a car, which they'll probably pay 20,000 in comprehensive motor insurance premiums. So when you look at the salesperson and they're motivated by commission, what do you think they will sell? You know, so to convert the sales team both from a mindset and from an earnings perspective to start to see more than just medical has been a challenge, and that's the only you know, challenge I'll talk about in trying to sell medical to our existing portfolio. But having said that, we have a very well, we are big on the strategy of cross-selling, and we have a target to convert or to upsell across a particular segment of our portfolio, that they must buy a general insurance product, and we're making that possible. So we have put in initiatives to make sure that business comes our way. Significantly also, for example, when you look at corporate business and you look at what you call employee benefits, which is a WIBA and GPA, within the buying process within the organization is made by and the decision is heavily influenced by the HR person who is also buying medical. So it's easier to engage and get those products coming our way. I think you know about the smart card. That's a first. I think that's what most of us have adopted in terms of just making sure that identification fraud is dealt with. So when I go to hospital, I must be physically present because I need to use my biometric, my fingerprint. So it's not cheap again. So it goes back to increasing the cost of providing this insurance. So there is that, but there is also trying to, as an industry, come together and see whether we can share data. We are at the early stages of trying to do that. There's not a lot of movement, but those are thoughts that we are having and discussions we are having around how to do that. There is also, you know, just data analytics, looking at your trends and seeing, like now the ones we are catching of picking up drugs is you find somebody has picked drugs within a very short period. From a medical perspective, that's not possible because you cannot take that amount of drugs, or you cannot take a certain combination of drugs. So when you see that happens, you flag that person and you say, okay, when the next time this person goes, alert us. And the service providers, most of them have been very cooperative in giving us those names and even holding the person. We've sent one person to jail. They've been convicted through the court process. We have another one that we are working on now. So those are common. So I think about 44%. But that's largely because, see, our general business book is very small. So once you begin to grow numbers, then your percentage is high. Yeah. So the medical business not significantly growing like that, but our general business growing that way. We are also looking, we've also started a very strategic move towards what you call the emerging consumer. I know some of us call it microinsurance, but we prefer to call it emerging consumer. Because we consider no customer to be a micro one. So the emerging consumer is probably somebody who's earning between 30 and 70 shillings, 1,000 shillings per month. Actually family, not family income, 30,000 to 70,000 shillings a month. But it's also somebody who's not used insurance before consciously. Okay, so they probably have bought a third party for their car, but that's not conscious because that's law. And so that's a customer you're seeking to start. So when you look at something like this, that's a customer you're trying to go. So we have a pipeline of products. This being the first one is now and won't roll out in the next 1 month. Again, targeting the same space. So we have revenues that we have, projected for that particular line of business. So we have, when you look at ourselves, we have 3 lines of, or 3 sources of income, which is a medical insurance, which is established. We have general business, which we established and we are now growing. We have the emerging consumer space. Of course, the emerging consumer space will never be medical or general, but very bundled and using different alternative channels. You know, the normal broker and agent is unlikely to be able to sell to this person. So we have to be very innovative in how we find partners to distribute those particular products. So today we are ranked, in terms of market share, we are number 10. We believe we'll grow our market share this year as well. But in 5 years, if we continue to have a partner, again, I'm talking about shareholders. If we continue to have the shareholders we have, because again, we have a private equity fund invested in us, Leapfrog. Again, you know, private equity can make a decision either way. But but as long as I think we stay with them, they're very good partners. They support us, especially because they invested as well in other 14 developing nations across Asia and Africa. So they've got a wealth of experience in that space. If we stay with them and manage to carry out our strategy, we should be top of the industry by 5 years. And our strategy, as we're saying, is we're not looking for big corporates and those sorts of things. We've never been that type of business. So in our medical book, we concentrated on SMEs, small businesses, but the big schemes we stay away from. They are difficult to, they just sap your energy, they push hard on negotiating in terms of price, in terms of services. Then next year they walk away. Then you're left with, so these many people you employed, what do I do with them?